What's good, y'all? I already know where y'all at. It's your boy Star Jones, and it's a new episode of Star Views. It's about to start right now. So please, I hope you got your hookah ready, and I hope you got your cups full of whatever ready, because I got a lot to talk about, alright? Know what's going on. Star Jones, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Please and thanks, you heard? What's good, folks? It's your man Star Jones. We're back with another lovely episode of Star Views. Brings me a lot of joy and excitement to talk about this particular movie we're going to speak about today. A Quiet Place 2. A Quiet Place 2 is the sequel to one of the better sci-fi movies I've seen in the last few years. A Quiet Place. It came out, in 2018, and I really enjoyed A Quiet Place, starring John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, and Noah Jupe. Hope I'm saying their names right. But yeah, so pretty much this film came back in 2018. I guess you can call this another post-apocalyptic movie. And yeah, man, like I said, A Quiet Place that came out in 2018 was a great film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish I had known that I was going to critique movies back then, because that would have been definitely one of the higher rated films that I would have rated. Definitely, because again, I've been waiting for the sequel since 2018. Since the credits rolled at the end of the first film, I just been patiently waiting. And A Quiet Place 2 was supposed to come out last year in 2020, but like most things, COVID ruined that. So we had to wait another year. The release date actually was pushed back a couple times. So I'm happy that the release date stuck this time and we was able finally to see it. I was lucky enough to see it in the movie theaters. Again, like I always tell you guys, I love being in the movie theaters, and it felt good to be back in the theater again, yesterday evening. So, I have good news. I will be smoking hookah today with you guys. So there's that. So we could all smoke together. So I'm going to get that right, and I'll come back and we're going to get into the overview of the film and actually talk about what transpired. I will try to limit the spoilers as much as possible. But again, I will disclaim a spoiler if I'm about to violate, and then at that point you could decide whether you want to move on or listen to it. So I'll be back in a second. Let me get that ready, and you know what I mean? We're going to get straight to it. What's good, folks? It's your man Star Jones. You already know. So we back. We're about to get right into it. So, A Quiet Place 2. Before I get into A Quiet Place 2, I really got to let you guys know exactly what went down in the first film, Quiet Place. So, in A Quiet Place, for those who didn't see it, A Quiet Place kind of takes place exactly in the midst of the alien invasion. Like as soon as it happened, not as soon as it happens, but it's relatively a few days, maybe a couple weeks into the invasion, and we meet this Western New York family. Shout out to my geographical skills. But the movie takes place in Millbrook, New York. So I believe that's Western New York if my skills is accurate. So yeah, we meet this Western New York family, and pretty much, like I said, they're in the midst of this invasion, and they're pretty much trying to navigate and survive this new world where it's a quiet place. In that film, we learn that the aliens cannot see. Their only way of tracking human beings down is by their sense of hearing, and their hearing is magnified by like 1,000,000. If I was to be in a corner over there and I did this, they could literally pinpoint exactly where I was just with the sound of my snap. So that just gives you an idea how real it is and why the movie A Quiet Place is so important. So again, we meet this family, and we pretty much see them in the first film trying to survive this ordeal. So the second film, A Quiet Place 2, it starts on day one. So day one essentially is how it sounds. Day one is the first day that the aliens pulled up. We see the family at the time as a family of three kids, family of 5. We see the family at a baseball game, a little league baseball game with the fellow residents of the small town, Millbrook. And in the midst of the game, we see something falling from the sky. It's not really clear what it is. Maybe a comet, could be a spaceship. Not really sure. It's not very clear on exactly what's falling. But anyway, of course, like anyone else, like us in real life, if we see something falling from the sky, we would be a little alarmed. So then the residents of the town begin to leave the game and I guess proceed to their respective homes and try to figure out what exactly is going on. So as soon as they get in their vehicle, of course shit goes left. We see the aliens touch down on the town and they just start wreaking havoc on everyone. Everyone's in panic, pandemonium, sets the tone for the film. So now, we didn't have that in the first film. We didn't really see when the touchdown happened. So now after day 1, it fast forwards to day 467, I believe, if that's the right number, but somewhere in the 460s. So it's been pretty much a year and some change since the arrival of the aliens. So at this point, from what I could tell, this takes place immediately after the events of the first film. The reason why I say that is because in the first film, Emily Blunt's character, the mother, had a baby. Ladies out there, imagine having a baby when aliens is running through your crib and they can hear every little thing you do. So imagine having to push out a baby and you can't scream, can't yell, can't do nothing. Exactly. The first film was very intense, like I said. So, like I said, said baby that she gave birth to is in this film. Still looks relatively young. The other 2 children in the film look like they didn't age much as well. So that's why I just assume that this takes place not too long after the events of the first film. But again, we see the family at this point making their way towards sanctuary. Well, hopefully a new sanctuary, because their current home is no longer in existence. And you'll also notice from the first film that there are less members of the family. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, say who died off, or maybe you got it just off what I said, but we lost a couple family members in the first film, so the family is a little short in this new one. So yeah. So again, we see our family navigating through this ravaged town, city, etc., and they go into what looks like, I guess, a old factory, and of course, someone makes a sound, and of course the aliens begin to run down and try to attack them. So that as they're running and try to elude the aliens, they're saved by a gentleman that we don't know who he is until, you know, they actually escape and elude the aliens, and we learn that this gentleman goes by the name of Emmett. Emmett is someone that we saw on day 1, and Emmett is now by himself. When we first saw Emmett, he had his family there. They were present on day 1, and now he looks stressed out, and ultimately he's alone. So he is reluctant to have the Abbotts there with him in his new home, because he's at the point in life where he's kind of losing it, and he's not really optimistic about a better place. He's kind of just in a rut, and he's okay with just being alone. He lost his family, so he ultimately doesn't really want to, I guess, ultimately doesn't want to look after anyone else. So that's that. As the movie progresses, of course, he becomes a little bit open more to them, because he was a family friend back when life was normal, and you know, he has a soft spot for them. So the daughter Reagan, she is deaf in the film. So that's something that's important, and I'm gonna get into that when I critique the film and give you my pros and cons. But the daughter, Reagan might be about 15 years old, and again, she's deaf, but she's very passionate about protecting her family and getting them to safety. So she's very, very optimistic about finding this sanctuary, and ultimately her goal is to get her family to this sanctuary that is out there. So she goes and ventures off on her own just to do research and try to find said place so she could double back and bring her family and Emmett. The mother wakes up one morning, realizes the daughter isn't there. She begs and pleads and convinces Emmett to go after her. And this is where the movie, I guess you can say, goes into a fork in the road. Because now we're pretty much seeing Emmett and Reagan's adventure, and then we're seeing the mother in the other two children's adventure. Now, Emmett and Reagan, again, they're on a search to find sanctuary for everyone. So, in their journey, they're pretty much encountered with the loss of humanity. And what I mean by the loss of humanity is they're encountering people that no longer have any hope. They're at a point in their lives where they could care less about anyone but themselves. They're living without remorse, and they kind of just, I'm going to take it how I get it. So now, not the only villain in the film, I know the aliens were the only villain for a long time, but now humanity is also a villain because now they have to deal with these humans that could care less about anybody but themselves. And then you have the mother, where her journey is trying to keep her other two children, remaining two children, under her custody, under her watch, safe. And, you know, making sure that they're fed, and the baby primarily is minimizing their exposure to these aliens. Because, again, you know, babies, they cry. They're not aware that they're in a world where they can't make any noise. So those are the two vantage points in the film that the film goes into, and it goes back and forth, and, you know, letting you see the family's adventure. I'm gonna say the family just because Emmett now has like this father figure role. So that's that. So that's pretty much the film. Like I said, it goes into a fork, and you pretty much see both vantage points and see what each party has to deal with in the film. There's a happy moment in the film for the most part, you know, at the end, but again, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, you know, that leaves you a little bit, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like, but either way, that's the film. I'm gonna come back, because again, I feel like I'm about to give you the answer to the film and let you know exactly what happened. I don't want to do that. So that's the movie in a nutshell for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So when I come back, I'm going to let you guys know how I feel about the movie, the pros and cons, what I'm going to rate it, and that's that. So I'll be back in 2 seconds. Y'all know how I go. I'm back, and we at that portion of the show where I like to let you guys know exactly how I'm going to rate the film, how I feel about it, what my sentiments are, and what the pros and cons are. So really quickly, I'm going to let you guys know what the pros are, and I just want to quickly shout out the child actors in this film. Noah Jupe and Millicent Simmons. They're the son and daughter in the film, and I just want to say that they did an amazing job. I think they stole the show, and this is not taking away anything from the adult actors. Emily Blunt and they did their thing, but I think Noah and Millicent did I can't reiterate it enough. Millicent plays Reagan Abbott, the deaf daughter. And John Krasinski did an amazing job of pretty much letting us see it from her perspective. Being in her shoes. Being in this post-apocalyptic situation and not being able to hear. And what I mean by that is anytime we had an event in the film where Reagan was the center of it, he would mute everything. And what I mean by that, when he mutes everything, is we can see, but we can't hear. So you feel the terror that she's experiencing, because imagine seeing a big alien coming at you, destroying shit, killing people, but you can't hear it. You could just see it. You know what I'm saying? So that alone, she did an amazing job of really, because she really has to show emotion on her face and body language. And I think she really knocked it out the park. And then Noah Jupe, he plays Marcus Abbott. He's the son. There was a particular scene where they were running from an alien, and he had this moment of realization. Something happened to him. I don't want to violate. Something happened to him, and he kind of had that moment of, oh shit, and he lets out this hysterical scream, like this loud scream. And again, as the movie watcher, as the viewer, we're like, oh, you can't do that. But it's, again, you can't be mad at him because he just went through some shit. And again, I don't want to violate. So I think both of them did an amazing job of really putting that fear on the forefront and having us adults feel that fear for them. Like, you know what I mean? Because we've all been children before, being scared of Chucky, Candyman, the Boogeyman, etc. You know what I'm saying? So we've all been there as children. So just imagine being a child in this situation where there are aliens literally trying to butcher and annihilate your family. So I think they did an amazing job. Another pro of the film, not taking too long with the sequel. One of my issues with Coming to America was the fact that the movie came out 30 years after the original. This film came out in reasonable time. It would have been here last year had it not been for the pandemic. And it's important because, again, the characters didn't age well, especially when they want to pick up the story as soon as they did. The story picks up again immediately after the events of the first film. So seeing the kids relatively in the same age, they didn't age much, you know, it's more convincing. I think it was just better for the story. The pace felt good. Nothing felt rushed. So, you know, that was something that was very important to me and it stuck out. As far as cons in the film, I don't like the ending, and I don't want to tell you guys the ending, but again, remember I told you it was a fork in the road when it comes to the plot because the family got separated ultimately. And the film ends and it's just pretty much family A is over here and family B is over there. And I could kind of just like, yeah, I didn't like that because it's like we did all that just for them not to be together, you know? And again, I'm telling you that, but again, you don't see how it transpires, so it's not really a spoiler. And the ending is just abrupt. It just ends. So I don't really like movies that just end. I kind of like closure. But I guess with movies like that, I guess it leaves cliffhangers for sequels. So maybe John Krasinski is cooking up A Quiet Place 3. I don't know. But like I said, I don't have too many cons. I think the movie was really good. So with that said, I'm going to give the movie 7.5 stars. 7.5 stars is a solid grade. I think it applies. I think you guys should go see the movie. Go out to the theater and check it out. It's definitely worth the money. You know, was it as good as the first one? No, it wasn't. If I was grading the first one, I would give the first one an 8.5. But I really enjoyed this one. A 7.5 is solid. Like I said, go check it out. Go pay the bread. It's definitely worth it. You would enjoy it. It's a thrill ride all the way through. I don't usually jump too much with movies, but I jumped a few times, so that speaks volumes. So yeah, shout out to John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, the whole roster. They did an amazing job. And with that said, that's this episode of Star Views. Thank you for pulling up. I appreciate it. I will be dropping a Chopping It Up episode for June, either the 1st or the 2nd, so look out for that. I don't think it's going to be as busy in June, but I'll let you guys know. So with that said, that's my time. I'm going to holler at y'all. Y'all have a good night. Enjoy the weekend. Oh, y'all still here? Appreciate y'all for sticking around, man, but I don't got no more hookah. But what I do have is more content on my YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't done so already, hit that red button and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notified as soon as I post anything. Alright? And if you haven't already followed me on social media, here's my information. Make sure y'all follow up. Appreciate it. Y'all still here, man. That's valid. Have a good one.